Kevin Feige reveals his big MCU regret. It's Infinity Week, and if you thought it wouldn't pass without another signature Kevin Feige quotable, well, you were wrong. The story architect behind the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been out on the press circuit for Avengers Infinity War, and Feige's doing what he does best, wearing a nice black hat with a sensible blazer and dropping bombs left and right during his interviews. Now, in case you're worried about spoilers, don't. This episode of Nerdist News is completely spoiler-free for Avengers Infinity War, so you can ditch those earplugs, unless even the mention of Infinity War is a spoiler to you, in which case, you kinda suck. Stir in the pot. Feige has gotten a lot of questions so far, not just about Infinity War, but also about the past 10 years he spent as head guy in the chair of the MCU, aka the Marvel MODOK, if you will. However, one question led the Feigster to admit what he thinks is his biggest regret in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Did you guess dyeing Chris Hemsworth's eyebrows blonde for Thor 1? Well, no, you're kinda correct. That was really weird. Ugh. While Feige did admit to Uproxx that messing with Hemsworth's facial hair was a bit of a white-hot botch, we're actually referring to his other big regret, the title of Avengers 4, or rather, the lack thereof. In a recent interview with IGN, Feige admitted that withholding the title of Avengers 4 was a big mistake, and it backfired on Marvel. Feige said that the notion was to not talk about it, so the focus was to be on Infinity War, but the decision not to reveal the Avengers 4 title has had the opposite effect. Everybody started talking and speculating about what the title might be, myself included. And now, according to Feige, the actual title will have no chance to live up to any of the expectations of what it's going to be. You got that right. Now, Feige and Marvel had good reason to fear that the Avengers 4 title would pull focus from Infinity War. A few years and several Marvel films ago, Age of Ultron was the next big Avengers flick on the horizon. However, Feige and the studio made the mistake of talking about Avengers Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2 during that time, which kind of felt like they stole Age of Ultron's thunder a little bit and put too much of the focus on those films coming down the pipeline. So we can understand why they wouldn't want to make that mistake again. I mean, they just ended up making a different mistake this time, but hey, you live and you learn and you can't please anyone. That's the one thing you can trust in life. Marvel's habit of releasing titles and premiere dates years in advance has been catching up to them in different ways. Letting the fans know exactly what movies are coming out and in what order has the effect of removing a sense of mystery and anticipation as to where the next turn in the MCU saga will be. It also makes it difficult to set up major shifts several years down the line. If we know a character has sequels coming up, it seems pretty reasonable to assume they're gonna live. It kind of takes the whole stakes out of everything. And while we agree with Kevin Feige and Marvel about this logic, that speculation train is already in motion and not even Denzel Washington can stop it. We've punched our one-way ticket to Theoryville. So what could that big mistake of a title actually be? Strap on your tinfoil hats. Our first guess, Avengers Forever. Now, based on set photos of Iron Man, Ant-Man, and Captain America on a debris-filled city street that looks a lot like the Battle of New York from the first Avengers movie, we have a pretty strong hunch that Avengers 4 is going to have a time travel element. The 12-issue miniseries from the late 90s also deals with time travel, plucking Avengers from the past, present, and future to form a team so they can battle the time-traveling villain Immortus. Now, it's not exactly the same villain as Thanos, but also forever. Avengers 4, Avengers Forever. I mean, come on, this writes itself. Our next guess, New Avengers. With all the talk of Avengers dying and heads rolling, we're thinking there might be a new set of Avengers waiting to take the lead in number 4. Spidey, Black Panther, Bucky, and Captain Marvel are all potential new Avengers who could take over for the old guard. And in the comics, Wolverine and the Thing were also members of the New Avengers, but actually, you know what? We know not to hold our breath on seeing that version of the New Avengers anytime soon. Thanks, legal arbitration in regards to the Disney-Fox deal, which could take up to 18 months. Big deal. And our third guess, which would also be a bit spoilery, but also pretty underwhelming, would be Infinity Gauntlet. Cool glove. Now, this is just as bad as simply calling Avengers 4 Infinity War Part 2, because it directly ties into Infinity War and would tell us exactly what the deal was going to be in the film. But it's still a possibility because Zoe Saldana may have accidentally let this title slip in an interview with the BBC back in 2017. Now, the Russo brothers have come out and said that it will be a while before we hear the official title of Avengers 4 because they want to let audiences process Infinity War. But if you want to keep riding that speculation speculation train, choo-choo, then check out our Nerdist News edition on what Avengers 4 spoilerific title could be. But what do you folks think? Will the Avengers 4 title be one of our guesses? What are your guesses? And will Thor's dyed eyebrows or dyed brows join the new Avengers? Let's discuss. Be sure to like and subscribe, and also mash that little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. Like this week with the latest episode of The Dan Cave, where I break down a brief history of the Avengers dying in the comics. It was sad. I'm in a dark place right now. Anyway, check it out. I'm doing great.